texting basically will give you the ability, for example, if you have a network, some sort of network outage, you can identify the component that's being affected by the network, and then you can do a search of all of your customers who are affected by that component, and then you can send a text message to those customers, giving them some idea that, first of all, there's an outage, and secondly, that you're currently working on it, and thirdly, you anticipate return to service in sometime in the next 30 minutes or something. What that obviously does is that notifies the customers. Typically, I find that customers really don't care that they're down as long as they know that they're down because it's not them, and that there is some sort of hope that it'll come back to operation. At least that's been my experience. And so this gives you the ability to do that. The other thing about this program is that it's fully responsive. So if I want to use this program out in the field, I can absolutely do so. If I'm completing a work order out in the field, or I'm trying to find instructions or directions or whatever the case might be, I can do that from the application itself. Hang on just a second, let me bring it back up, get back over here. So I can, for example, I can find work orders that are on the application right from my phone. I can get driving instructions to those locations using the phone applications. And actually, it's not really an application for the phone. It is actually, the website is fully responsive, so it runs on the phone. Oh, that's an interesting place for a tower. So, okay, so you can do all kinds of.
We're working for the drug cartels now, Bob, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what I was showing you that for. That was supposed to be a secret. So I'm just going to bring that back open so I can get this back to where it's supposed to be. I just bought a new Macintosh, and I had never used Mac before, and it's somewhat different than, so you can see me having the navigation. I don't use the mouse very well yet. Yeah, it goes the wrong way. Okay, so I need to fix that when I get off the program. So, all right, quit messing with that, Bob. Okay, good, I'm good now. I'm going to stop looking over there. So that is fully responsive. So let me go back to the other things I was going to tell you. We have a fully integrated inventory management system. So when you're completing work orders or creating trouble tickets, you can identify and assign trouble tickets to specific items in your network, or you can assign specific trouble tickets to customers and those types of things. But they're all integrated with the inventory management system. In addition, we have an IP management system, and the IP management system will prevent you from multiply assigning IP addresses to the same or different customers.
Right.
And so when you complete a work order, you actually select the IP address off the work order for the customer, and it gives you a drop-down list of the available IP addresses. That way you can't make a mistake when you're email and the screen.
You probably have some questions.
I was going to ask you, is it a hierarchical thing where it has a parent-child relationship?
Yeah.
Or if we lose a tower that feeds 10 other towers, are we going to get 1 million alerts? Or
No. So for example, let's say you lost your edge router, okay? So obviously if you lose your edge router, that means everything is lost. What you will get is every component that was affected will in fact report to you that it's been lost. So if you got 75 components, they're just going to start binging in from the edge router all the way to the end of your network. But if you're way out on the end of that network and you lose a component, it will in fact identify that component's lost. The other thing that it'll do is it will know, it knows the relationship between your customers and your network. So if the customer calls in and there's an issue that has been reported and a trouble ticket has been produced for a specific component, say for example a router, let me just show you one here. So for example, this is just our development stuff. I'm just going to find a quick customer, and I'm going to show you that he is currentently affected by an outage. So Mr. Tall comes in, that's Jeffro for anybody that wants to know. Mr. Jeffro Tall comes in or calls in, and he says, I can't get on the internet service, and so this is what you will see when you open up his network. It will come up, and it will show you at the top right, when that thing pops up here in a second, it'll show you that he's currently being affected by these known network outages. And so you don't have to do anything except you can add him to one of these trouble tickets if you want to. Or on the other hand, if you want to create a trouble ticket for the customer, you can do that as well. But if I wanted to see everybody that was affected by DEO4, I can go over here to the left-hand side. I can hit search. I can change the search field to the access point. And so I'm going to find all of my customers that are currently on DEO4. And if I'll just type it in here. There's another way to do it as well. I could have just looked for all my access points and then put the name of the access point in. But these are all the people that are on DEO4. Directly, I can send an email to them. All I have to do is hit the send the email button. I can type it in and send it to them. Or if I choose, I can also send them an SMS message, and they will get the message as well. So we can do both. Yeah. Okay, so let me drag this back over to the dashboard. So let's see. That was
hey, Bob.
At a glance. Yes, sir.
I think your answer, I think you said what I thought you said, but it was a little fuzzy to me about the network monitoring. Mm-hmm. You know, JJ asked if it's hierarchical, and what he means is if the core router goes out, can we get just one alarm as opposed to 1,000 alarms because there's 1,000 outages?
Well, actually, are there 1,000 outages or not? Are you dual home?
Well,
do you have,
well, what I'm saying is that okay, if a tower site goes out and there's 100 customers off that tower site, we want to know that the uplink radio or the router at the tower or whatever went out. We don't want to get 100 notifications for the customers that are out.
Oh, you won't. You won't.
Yeah.
Okay. The alert notifications are only for your network components. Right.
Right. But let's say that you've got, you know, a router that's, you know, feeding the internet to, let's say, 3 towers, right?
Okay.
Through separate uplink radios, and let's say that router goes down, that's feeding those 3 separate towers. Will I get notifications that tell me that all 3 individually tell me that all 3 of the towers are down?
Yes,
or
unfortunately,
do I just get one message that truncates all that information into one message?
No, it's gonna. So, for example, if you're sitting somewhere and I'm feeding a couple of the 3 towers with those routers on the upstream link, then yes, you're going to get notifications on all of those being affected.
Individually.
Yes, it will not hierarchically clarify that for you. It'll say this sequence of routers are non-responsive, and so anything that's non-responsive will be notified. Absolutely right.
Okay.
Right. Okay. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. I mean, you know, I don't know that we have any plans to do the other, but we certainly know what the hierarchy in your network is.
Okay.
So we could, I guess, at some point we could actually make that an option, but I don't know that we're going to do that anytime soon.
Fair enough.
Okay. Let's see. At a glance, dashboards. I don't know. We're kind of hopping around here, but a little bit because I'm not really quite sure what you guys are looking for. But these are at a glance dashboards. So when you sign in the morning to see what's going on during the day, you can actually see a whole host of different kinds of information. So up here at the top, and it doesn't have to be at the top. You can move this around so you can put it wherever you want it. But basically, what you have is at the top, and at least in this image, is you have the financial graphs, basically talking about how your company is performing on a month-to-month basis, on a monthly basis, and also on a basically for the today's basis. So, for example, over here on the right-hand side, this you can see where the month-to-date income is. And it'll show you, that's from the start of the month, it'll show you what the month-to-date income is. It'll also show you any checks that have been deposited today, any cash receipts that have been taken, and any credit card or ACH payments will also show up here on the right-hand side. So just a very quick review shows you how much money you've made this month and how much money you've put into the system today. You also have multiple different kinds of graphs here. And again, this is on my development program. So these really are very fictitious data. But this is on the development program, so it'll show you, for example, recurring revenue, non-recurring revenue, total revenues. Then I can also look at the triple data graph, and I can look at ARPU, customer count, and recurring revenue levels. And you can actually put these on the numbers, and you can see that as of today that I have 60 subscribers that are currently recording. Over here on the right, this is my aging report, and I can go through and I can look and see what my aging report looks like. Obviously, yours would be somewhat different, and this is a really kind of a development system, so these are probably very fictitious, very bogus. Down here, this is all the known issues, so these are all the outstanding trouble tickets that are currently outstanding. We sort these based on critical down to low and moderate, and so critical items show up in light pink, and then the high-level ones generally show up in yellow, and then anything less than high shows up in kind of a low, low level, no color sort of display. If you want to open those trouble tickets, all you have to do is click on those, and you can bring them up and see them. Notice that we do assign a severity level, and you can assign an escalation level. The escalation level actually will push the trouble ticket up the line if it hasn't been completed within a certain period of time. And then, of course, over here on the right-hand side, on this map that I keep messing with, wrong way. On the map that we have over here on the right, what this is a map that shows current activities for the day. So I have one installation that's due today, and I can click on the installation. If I'm in the car, I can actually open this up and pull up the installation work order from that location.
Okay, and in regards to that, Bob, I'm curious. Let's say we are going to dispatch a tech to fix this or that, or do a new install. I assume that that's what this calendar is here at the bottom.
Yes.
Is all of those. And does this have any type of integration with Google Calendar at all? I'm curious.
Currently, it does not.
Okay.
We are certainly moving in direction to make that happen, but it has not been completed yet. In fact, this was kind of the last thing on the list, on the development list. But there are several pieces of this calendar that are not functioning the way that we want them to. For example, if you have a technician that's going to be gone for 2 weeks on vacation, you should not be able to assign that technician for those 2 weeks. And so we're still integrating some of those pieces into the calendaring system. So,
but there's no reason why. There's no reason why the techs couldn't see this calendar on their phone. That this would be, I mean, it would take the place of a Google Calendar.
Absolutely, yes. And in fact, if you open up the application on your phone, you will in fact see the calendar. Golly, get away from that map, Bob. You're driving me nuts. Okay, see the map. Okay, golly. Okay, so he can in fact see the calendar here, and he can also see all of his current work orders that he has to complete for the day as well, just on his phone.
Yeah.
So yeah, all those things are available to him at that location. So let's see, what else? What else we have here on the dashboard?
So what does that look like from the dispatcher's perspective? Like okay. If I was going to go put things on that map or on that calendar.
All right. So for example,
let's say I'm a new customer and I call in and you pre-qualified me. Let's skip through all that and it's a go, and we're going to dispatch it.
Well, in fact, let's do that just for a second. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so what I have here is I'm going to just search for this guy that we currently have on here. Okay, so generally it's a bad idea to use all the fields. I just should have used his name, but otherwise you're searching through 30, 40 databases. So the customer calls in and says, hey, I'd like to get service on your network. So what you do is you open up the sales prospect and you hit the add button. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a sales contact. First name, last name, city, state, zip, address, phone number, etc. And then as soon as you put in the last little piece here, so for example, 76140 goes in, it automatically geolocates that and identifies where that particular customer is with regards to where the network components are. I can edit that location, and generally I can see because this is the development stuff, you're currently working on it, but you can actually put this on hybrid. If I reloaded it, I'd probably put the hybrid on there, but I can put it right on top of the guy's house, and then I can click when I'm done, and then I can qualify that location. So I'm going to qualify that location against the access points that can provide service to him. So let's say I'm 35 feet off the ground. It's a 2-story or whatever, and I hit go. So what this does is it shows me which access points I can provide service to him on that location. In addition, what it also shows me is, so here, let's look at the map first. Each of those little pie-shaped wedges are actually the coverage area of access point. So when you give me an access point on this guy, for example, that access point is giving me an elevation, I get a direction, and I get a coverage radius. So you tell me how far you think you want to provide service off that particular AP is. Once, if the location for the service actually falls within those ranges, it will actually light it up and show it against the map here. So you can see I have, in this case, I have 3 APs that can provide service to this location. This one is the Web Rocket stuff, and the link on that one is 2.55 miles. It's off WR3. This one, of course, is DE05, and it's 1.84, and this one's 1.49, so that's CV. So here they put, and then what we do is we put these in range of closest or furthest. So here's the first one. This is the access point on the left-hand side. This is the elevation of the access point. And then over on the right-hand side, of course, is the location where I'm going to be providing the service. The red line is the line of sight. The blue line is the first Fresnel zone. And then the light green underneath there, that's actually ground clutter. That includes average tree height. It includes, well, average tree heights for about 10 different kinds of trees, deciduous, evergreen, whatever the case might be. We have those data for like 10 of those. And then it also includes trees and shrubs, lakes. Yeah, lakes are pretty useful, huh? It also includes urban development like high rises and buildings and those types of things. Where the roadway is built up, it'll also show roadways that are built up. And so from this, I'm able to immediately say that I can provide service to this customer from this particular location on CV1. So coming off Country Vista, access point 1, I can certainly provide service. The distance from there is like, well, about 1.5 miles or so. Yeah, 1.49 miles. I can also look and I can see that I can also provide service to that location off the WR3. So within about 60 seconds after collecting the data, the service representative will know whether or not they can provide service to that location. So if they can provide service to that location, what they can do is they can just go down here. I'm going to hit save on this. That will give me the opportunity to create a work order. And so I'm going to go back over. I already created a work order on this one, so it won't let me create another one, but I'm just going to pull it up. So I'm going to pull up work order 96.
What would you have done to create that work order, Bob?
Let's go back.
What would you have done?
Okay, so what I would have done is just click on the button. It won't give me the button down here to create a work order.
Oh, there would be a button. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, it would have been right down here at the bottom.
Okay.
And it won't show it to me because I've already created a work order for it. So I'm going to go over to where the work order is, and I'll show you the work order that we have to fill out. So this is work order like 96. ID. That way I don't have to search through a whole bunch of different databases. It'll pull up the work order here in just a second. Or okay, so this is what your customer service representative is going to see. So when she hits that button, what it'll do is it'll bring up this little window here, and it'll automatically transfer the contact information: first name, last name, street, city, state, zip, longitude, latitude. Well, actually, longitude and latitude is already built in. Email addresses, and then what I do next is I create a date and a time. So I'll pick a date and a time, and select that. It'll put it on the calendar. And so I'm just going to cancel that. Come on, take me back. All right, let's try that. Does that take me back? It doesn't. Okay. Let's try that. Okay, so there we go. So they'll pick a date and a time for the service to occur, and then they'll go over to the billing section. And if you want them to, if the customer's going to pay with a credit card, you can go ahead and collect credit card data. If the service address and the billing address are the same, all you have to do is hit copy contact, and then that copies all the data over. You can identify which billing company it's actually going to be billed on, and then identify which tax is going to be associated. We have a very strong tax engine, so it can handle city, state, county type tax or requirements. This guy's going to get an email statement. He's going to be invoiced on the 20th, and his charge date's on the 1st. If you want to do anniversary billing instead, just turn off the prorate put in today's date for the charge date. I don't even know what today's date is. I think it's the 25th, but I'm not sure.
That's close enough.
You can make, okay, so you can make the invoice date, and then you can give the customer a username and a password. And then if you want to go ahead and collect a credit card number from the customer before the technician gets out there, you can put the credit card number in, whatever the case might be. But in this case, I'm just going to leave it as check cash. So there's a couple of things left that the service representative has to do while they still got them on the phone. Is first of all, they have to select the service plan. So I've got all these different kinds of service plans, and she can see what they are, and she can tell the customer what the potential options are. For example, here's a residential family service quarterly. I don't know what else we have in there, but I'm just going to pick one. There's a residential family service too. And then underneath the technician, this is going to be a wireless service. And so it gives me the basic technical information that I need in order to be able to maintain and monitor and take care of a wireless connection. We also have the option for doing fiber connection. So for example, if you want to keep track of what the OLT and the MSP and the MSP ports are, you can do that on this application. One of our upcoming releases is actually going to have a map where you can see all of these devices on the map and where they're located. And then ultimately, we're also going to add the ability to put in your landlines or your fiber lines and where they actually are on the map. So
and let me ask you this, since you're on that topic, are you going to also have or already have the ability to manage colors within those lines and where they go and where they break off? And
okay. I believe so.
Okay, so like let's say there's a 48 count fiber that goes between here and yon, and we broke 12 off here and 10 off there and 10 off here and all these different pedestals.
Yeah, you know something? I don't know the answer to that question. I'd actually have to ask my business partner to get an answer on that. I know that, and I'm not a fiber guy. All I know is that I can keep track of OLTs and MSPs. But I know that if we don't do color, we're going to be doing color. So that's coming out very soon.
Fair enough.
So in this particular, and like I say, if we're not doing it, I know that it's on the schedule for deployment. So those are in fact coming, because you got to have it, right? You got to know where the colors are, because there's no other way to track it, right? Because
that's right.
You only get color, right? I mean, you get color.
And the colors correspond with a number as well. So if it's like the orange. If it's the orange tube and the blue and orange tube, that means it's fiber number 13 out of that bundle. So, I mean, but color is just as easy.
Right.
We see it as color, but it is actually just a number.
Okay. If we don't, we will soon.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna.
Let's look at the wireless service type there that you're at just for a minute more. I just got a chance to glance at that. Just curious what.
Okay, so what we have here is now I can pick an affiliation. If you have more than one company, we can support that. But under the site, I'm going to go ahead and pick a site. I don't have to pick a sector, but I'm just going to go ahead and pick one anyhow. And then what I'll do is I'll go to the bottom and I'll save this. So what I've just done is I've saved the work order. The technician is now going to be able to go out in the field and he can complete the work order. When I create the work order, it actually emails him a notification that a work order has been created. And from his phone, he can click on the link to the work order. He doesn't even have to open up the application. It'll just bring the work order up for him. He can just start working from there. If he doesn't want to do that.
Before we move on here, I think we both have a couple of questions. One of my questions is let's say, for instance, you're going to dispatch that individual. Let's say we sold them 2 Unifies and a switch and a this and a that. And where do we communicate, what inventory he's going to need for that job?
Okay, so I'm very happy that you brought that up. So the answer is, well, actually, let me show you. I'm going to go to the dashboard. I'm going to open this up like I was the technician. So I'm going to open this up on my tablet, and I'm just going to scroll down. Oh, there we go with that stupid map again. Quit it. Stop it. I got to get used to this mouse. Well, doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to get down here, and I'm going to actually go down below, and I'm going to open up the work order that we're working on is work order number 96. I'm actually going to click on 96 and open it from the tablet view. So we can see what the technician actually has to do in order to complete it. So he gets basically the same work order structure that we were looking at, except it's probably smaller. Probably looks more like that on his phone. So on his phone, what he's going to do, let me get this out there so there's not. Okay, so this is on his phone, it's in his hand. He is going to go through and he's just going to open this up. He sees that everything looks good on this page. Everything looks good on the billing page. Don't need to change anything there. If the guy has a credit card, he can actually take it from the customer at this point. If he goes to plans, that's not an issue. He can go now he's going to go to the technical side. So he sees that they've currently got it scheduled on DE04. He looks down range. He says, "Yep, DE04 will work for this location." So he'll go in and he'll pick an IP address. So he'll pick an IP address out of the list, and then he will go down and he will pick out the piece of equipment that happens to be in inventory. If the equipment is not in inventory, hang on just a second. Let me see my phone. Okay, I think you got it. Good. Okay, so if the equipment is not in inventory, you can do a quick add. So if you get out in the field, you got a piece of equipment that's not in inventory, all you have to do is click on the quick add button, and it will give you the option of putting in the MAC address and identifying what particular piece of equipment it is. So, for example, I could choose a device. This particular device is a Telrad CPE Mark III. I can put in the MAC address. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 0. All right, so it's 1121. Okay, I can save it. And then okay, so I saved it. And again, he's doing this from his phone. He can go down here and he can find the one that he was just picking, wherever it is, somewhere here. Okay, so what he can also do, and if you are bridging the devices on the roof, you can also pick the secondary MAC. So specifically, if I'm bridging the CPE and I've got some sort of microtik or something inside the house where I'm putting the final IP address, I can either identify that it came out of inventory, or I can identify that the customer currently owns that device. So out of inventory, I'll just pick a device. I don't know, I'm just going to pick something. It doesn't really matter what. And then, or if I need to add the inventory quickly, I can add the inventory here as well. And so now, what he will do is, while he's still standing in the driveway or on the roof, he can pre-provision that piece of equipment.
And just to interrupt one more time, these inventory items that are in that drop-down list are inventory items that have been assigned to him and are known to be on his truck?
They very well can be, yes. In this particular instance, I am just pulling everything, okay? So if he's got a particular piece of equipment on his truck, he can look at the side of the box and he can say it's on 54.31, and so he can pick the piece that, good grief, really? Okay, all right, great. So yes, the answer directly to your question is yes. If it's on his truck, you can actually move the equipment out of the warehouse and put it on his truck. But when in this particular drop down, what he will find is he will probably find every piece of equipment that's currently available. He can find the piece that's got the right MAC address associated with his particular deployment, and he can put it there. But
so just so I'm clear on that, it's going to show him everything, including what's on his truck.
Yes,
or can we set it to only show what he has?
No, right now it will show him every piece of equipment that's available. And so what he'll have to do is he'll have to look at the MAC address of the device on the side of the box and identify that that's the piece that he wants to take out of inventory. Now, the inventory system itself, go ahead.
Do you have a tool or do you have something you're compatible with that can scan that MAC address or scan that barcode off his phone so he doesn't have to type in the MAC address?
Well, it actually turns out that the barcode scanners work quite fine. And so, yes, when you get the equipment into your shipping, receiving, they can actually barcode scan that stuff in.
But what about him on the truck?
We would like it to be able to use the barcode on the phone, but we have not been able to overcome a couple of technical difficulties yet.
Yeah, you're not the first
one. We're not the first one to say that.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to imagine I'm on the truck, I'm grabbing this piece of equipment, and I do a drop-down list, and let's say, you know, on average we have 100 pieces of equipment out to 10 techs. He's going to have to hunt down one MAC address out of 100? Is that?
Yeah, but they go alphabetically. So it's, I mean, alphanumerically. So I mean, it's not a huge event. He won't have trouble finding. I mean, I would be able to find it, and I don't even have very good eyesight. So.
Fair enough.
And you know, you're probably hiring guys that are like 22, 23 years old. If they can't scan down and see something, it's very easy to spot. And, you know, I don't know. Maybe I ought to consider hiring some other dudes. Hell, hire me. I'll come out.
Fair enough. Okay.
Okay. So what we do now is we pre-provision this, and what that does is that talks to the network. And if you're using a radius server, for example, it'll tell the radius server that this guy is preparing to deploy this particular piece of equipment, so you're allowed to let this piece of equipment on. It'll also tell him, based on which service plan you pick, what the bandwidth shaping should look like. And so it'll get all ready for that. And depending on how we have this designed on your particular network, if the equipment gets installed, gets powered up, it'll talk to the network, and the radius will immediately talk to it. And it can put all of those bandwidth shaping and all of that information directly on the CPE. If you'd rather not have it on the CPE, we can redirect it to go someplace else, like the first router in line on the upward link headed to the edge of the network. So whichever way you want to do that. So now the kid goes up there and he puts the CPE on the roof. He runs the cables into the house. He plugs it in, and it's already operational. It's authenticated off the radius server or whatever authentication services that you're using. The bandwidth shaping is already set. So he can now go through, and now he can define what else does this guy get billed for. So he can go over to plans, and he can now start putting in some additional payments. So if you're selling specific pieces of equipment, for example, if you're selling a cable expense, and he has to charge 35 additional feet of cable, that's fine. I can also add an equipment lease plan if you have an equipment lease or an equipment rental. If you have other specific pieces of hardware that you're not necessarily you're only maintaining company count and not specific item numbers. So for example, if you are putting on a CPE or some special antenna, you can actually include those in your equipment drop-down list, so that when he drops down this list, if it's a high gain antenna, you can take the high gain antenna out of the inventory. It'll automatically grab it and put it where it should be and take it off.
So okay, just to confirm, so the plan can either be a service plan of some kind, or it could actually be a piece of equipment that's in inventory. It could be either.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's awesome. All right. So if he's going to put two Unifies in this guy's house, two Unify access points, he could find them there.
No, I misled you. No. One internet connection per work order. However, if you're assigning additional pieces of equipment, like a high gain antenna instead of the built-in integrated antenna on a Cambian unit or something, then he can add that as a cost to the installation.
Or a second router on the same.
Or a second router, or whatever the case might be. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All
right. Then underneath the technical list, what he's going to do is he's going to finish. I think we've already finished filling this out. And then all he has to do in order to complete the work order. So what did he have to do? He had to find the location. He had to go in and pick the piece of equipment off of his truck that he was going to use. He had to, if you were doing, some sort of bridging on the roof, he had to pick the MAC address of the router inside the house, and then he had to pre-provision it. Once he's done that, everything is configured, ready to go. That takes about 2 minutes, probably. Then he had to identify if there were additional expenses on the invoice that he wanted to produce. And then the last thing he does is he can go over to the notes. If he wants to put in some notes, he can do that. If he took some pictures while he was on the roof or looking downrange or in the house, he can upload all the pictures to the customer at the same time. And then all he has to do is hit the complete button. So what the complete button does is it saves all that data, and he can save it intermittently during the process so he doesn't lose anything. But what it'll ask him for is, was this a successful installation? The answer is yes. So if he did some baseline things, like figured out what the received signal strength was, or he pinged something, or he did some sort of speed test, then he can include that data on this customer baseline. He can go down here and he can put in some additional notes. And then if you have a signed agreement with the customer, he can actually show the agreement to the customer and let the customer agree to it. And then he can get the customer to sign the agreement directly online, off his phone or off his tablet or whatever touch capable device he might have. And then all he has to do is finish, and that's it.
Very cool.
So the process of going from a sales contact to a completed work order has been designed for a couple things. First of all, it's been designed for ease of efficiency. You want to grab a lot of information, and you want to grab it quickly so that you don't keep your people busy. And then you want to be able to complete work orders just as quickly, and you want the work orders to be able to work for you so that you don't have to make phone calls in to get authentication for specific devices. The whole system is operational on his phone as is. Okay, so while that's thinking about that, it's probably trying to, oh, there we go. So let me open this thing back up. I'll take it back
so
to the
back to that pre-provisioning. I have some really pointed questions about a few things in that area.
Okay,
so I don't know if now would be
let me get people that are real smart. Hang on just a second.
Oh, you went to Watt Duck, huh?
Yeah, I need some help. I'm just going to call in the inventory.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no one else there.
Hmm.
I got some pictures. Here's this.
Okay, so give me your technical questions, and let's see what I can do with them.
Okay. So
let me just give you a little piece of information first before we get to that. Okay. So the way we provision equipment is we basically do an SSH directly into the component that needs to have the provisioning performed in it. So once we gain entry into the device, and it's just as if we're sitting there with a command line entry on the particular piece of equipment. We grab information out of the program, like MAC address or speeds or burst limits or whatever the case might be. We grab all of that stuff and we basically SSH into that particular device, and then we download that script into the program. It runs, and it does all the provisioning on the network. So basically, anything that you can SSH into, we can write provision scripts to afford. So here are all the different events that we do that for. So for example, when I complete an installation, I can send a provisioning script, or if I'm changing a MAC address, or I'm changing a secondary MAC address. Guy got a work order, goes out, changes the secondary MAC address on a work order. It's obviously got to update everything that's in Radius or on the network so that the guy still can authenticate, and so we still get the same sort of speed performance that you'd expect with the secondary MAC address. If I got a bunch of email stuff here. I don't know if you're doing much of email stuff, but if you're changing accounts or creating accounts or modifying accounts, and anything on email accounts, we can handle that as well. If you are specifically changing speeds for a customer, go into the customer plate. You want to change the speed for this customer for some reason. I don't know why you'd want to, but anytime there's a speed change, we can handle that. Upload, we do usage-based billing, so if you've got some sort of upload or download function that you're trying to take care of at this particular time, you can do that as well. Other IP changes, CPE, password changes, and a variety of things like that. And then what the provisioning scripts look like is, I'm just going to pick one here. I'm going to add a user to a microtik. So I'm going to use an SSL. I'm going to use the customer's router credential. We grab the router credentials based on what upstream device the customer is attached to. At least in this case we did. And then what we do is as you can tell, we just wrote a script that does all of these things. We have some customers that really don't know how to write scripts for these types of commands. We must have a library of 300 of these different kinds of scripts doing different kinds of things. So if there's something there that you want us to write, we'd be glad to do that for you. Happy to help. Always happy to help. Now, did any of that answer some of your questions before we got there?
Yeah, just a little bit. Could you drop down that list one more time?
Mm-hmm. You want to see the events list or the scripts list?
The scripts list there.
Okay.
So do you have any scripts that manipulate Ubiquiti configs at all?
Yes, we do, but not in this application, because I'm sure everything that I've got in here probably is set for microtics.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
Yeah. So, but that's not an issue. I'm sure we have a whole bunch of those too, because I mean, Ubiquiti is so worldwide. In fact, I was just working with some people in Germany, and they're using the same stuff we are: Ubiquiti, UBNT, Microtik, and this kind of thing. So.
Okay, and so I'm just looking at my notes here.
Okay, that's fine. That's cool.
Let's say, for instance, we don't use Radius, and that's where the pointed questions come in. But we do have other ways that we accomplish this. So let's say, for instance, the radio gets provisioned, the technician puts the static IP in it, gets it online, and then once that radio is online, that's always. I'm going to jump ahead just a little bit.
Sure.
Let's see, let's say the customer gets into a delinquent status and hasn't paid us, and the software then decides to shut their service off. Like, I know that normally the way a lot of folks would handle that is they would just do a Radius DOS, and that would happen. But in our case, would it be possible to instead have that Radius DOS to have this thing fire off a script that logs into a particular router, executes a script that puts their address into an address list that causes the redirect to happen to the customer portal?
Absolutely. Yes, most certainly. About half of our customers do that. A lot of folks don't want to use Radius, don't want to implement it, don't want to do any of that kind of stuff, and that's fine, because the Microtics are quite capable of having, managed user groups, right? So all we would do is move that guy into a managed user group that says this is a suspension managed user group, and then what it would do is it would redirect him based on the rules established in that user group, which in this case would redirect the customer straight to the customer portal. So the only place he could go at that point would be, in fact, the customer portal.
Perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. And then another somewhat pointed question I have, and this one I would imagine we'll have to talk to Cameron about, but we currently do traffic accounting with a suite called PMACCT by way of net flow collection from all of our Microtik routers. That net flow information gets aggregated into a SQL database, and then that's how we do overage billing. It would be paramount that we are able to have that usage billing aggregated into this system in some fashion. Now, we could facilitate that.
So you got that on a SQL server, and you've got that based on like some sort of customer ID number?
Yeah, well, it's customer IP address. So the queries that do all that are already established, and we have those where we can do queries that are based off of their IP address that produce, their traffic totals for a given period.
Right, and what we currently do for usage-based billing is we strongly recommend a Radius server, but basically all that's doing is the same thing that you're doing. Is we would just, instead of going to the Radius server, have to redirect it towards your server and grab the data directly, because we got to get the data from someplace, right? And so right now, what the Radius does is every few minutes it adds up and tallies and keeps the total amount of data that's been associated with that particular customer. We do have to know. So what we would have to do is we'd have to write a script that when we do an installation or do some sort of change for a usage-based billing, that we have to send a script to your current usage-based billing server to make sure that we set up that customer properly and that we begin data collection.
Well, the data collection is already going to happen because we're collecting the data on all of the subnets already. So, for example, let's say we set up a user on 10.5.1.1, and that's their CPE address. Well, as soon as traffic starts occurring,
it's going to collect it. I got it.
Yeah, it's automatically going to start collecting it. So we at that point,
then all we need is a lookup table between the IP address and a customer number. Perfect,
that's right.
No problem. Yeah. We can certainly support that.
Cool. Yeah.
Neato. And then let's see.
Now, that doesn't mean that I know how to support that. That means that I have really smart people that know how to support that.
That's fine.
You sound like one of those guys. Maybe we'll just let you do it.
He's very reasonable, JJ. We're
that's good. We're very reasonable too.
or 2 free years of software.
There you go. Yeah, thanks.
Do you have more questions, or do you want me to go on mine here?
Yeah, the last question I had is kind of the first question I had, and it's I want to see the customer portal.
Well, before we get to that, Bob, let's just go a little further on workflow. So now you've got this customer, they've been installed, they've been assigned an IP address, they're in the system, and what now I want to see what happened to start their billing going. How is their billing happening? Where is it decided if they're going to be automatically billed to a credit card or if they're going to be sent an invoice? And I also want to see what happens workflow-wise when they have a problem now, and they call up and they say, hey, this is Jethro Tull, I got a problem, I'm offline. I want to immediately find out where their radio is and take a look at their radio. So those two processes.
I should have been writing that down because you were talking fast and
sorry.
I have attention deficit.
Well, okay, so looks like you're in work orders. Right. So Jethro Tull just called, and and he's got a problem. So what am I going to do?
All right. So Mr. Somebody called and he's got an issue. Okay. So let me just pick somebody randomly here. I'm gonna put this on the field name, and I'm just gonna go look for Charlton Heston.
Okay.
Okay. So we're gonna find Mr. Heston. You can tell that it's looking because it's got this little wheel that spins over here on the right when you're looking, and so I'm gonna pull up Mr. Heston now. It's very important, by the way, when your CSRs actually have a specific piece of equipment or information they're looking for, they actually pick the field that they're looking for. Otherwise, we're churning through 30 different databases looking for that particular piece of equipment. So, all right, so here's Mr. Heston. He's got an issue, and so he does not have any network-related issues up here at the top, as you can tell. And so whatever the issue is associated with this customer is now directly associated with this customer. So let's say, for example, that he has slow service versus no service.
Okay.
So if I go over here to trouble ticketing, I can actually look at the settings and I can create different checklists based on that. So for example, if there's a wireless no service, then it creates this checklist. So when I create a trouble ticket for this guy on that particular service, it will show your CSRs what list of things you want them to test first. And then if it's different than slow service, then so basically every different potentiality for a customer calling in can actually be given its own checklist of things that you want the CSR to take care of, right? And then they also, when they complete that, they also have to check that they checked that before they can complete the work order. Well, I think that's true. They may be able to complete the trouble ticket without that, actually. Okay, so let me go back over here. We're going to just go find the customer. Here's Mr. Heston, and I'm going to go to the service plan that he currently has. Sorry, I got away from it. So I'm going to go to the service plan that's causing the issue. So right now, this guy's got the blazing plan. I click on the blazing plan, and I can see a variety of things. First of all, I can see when it started, when his next charge date is, all that kind of information. If he actually has usage-based billing going on, I can actually see the total amount of up and down usage-based that he's actually used to date.
So that icon out from that, is that a graph? From usage?
Yes, it actually is a graph. Yes.
So you would click on that and it would bring up a graph. Is that correct?
Yeah, if the program was actually attached to a real person called Charlton Heston, the answer is yes. you would be able to see that. Not only that, but you can monitor basically every parameter in the customer's CPE. So if there is something specifically that you want to maintain, monitor, and so forth, if it's got an OID, we can manage and monitor it. Okay, so this, it looks like I've got a dial-up connection here. That's nice. MAC addresses and so forth. City, state, zip, so forth. If I want to create a trouble ticket for this particular customer, I have to go down here and I can create a trouble ticket. And so I'm going to just go ahead and add a trouble ticket. It'll actually, oh, that's nice. It'll actually take me to the, what is this? Page not found. What is that? That means something, oh, it's probably because it's something else. It'll automatically fill in the customer that we're looking at. I can pick the particular service plan. You know, I have to pick somebody that doesn't have a dial-up. Hang on a second. Let me pick somebody else. Let me pick Jim Bean. Okay, so let's just have a look at Mr. Bean. All right, so I got a Jim Bean right here. So here we go. So once again, actually, I could just create the trouble ticket directly, or in this case, I'm just going to bring him up. I'm going to go to plans. I'm going to pick the service plan that is affecting, that he's currently having trouble with. Make sure it's wireless. It is. Okay. Create a trouble ticket. And currently the guy has 2 tickets. So that's all right. I'll go ahead and create a 3rd one. What in the heck? Let me try this base. Remove. Has a name change. That's cool. Let's see if I can do it from here. I'm gonna add a trouble ticket directly from here. And so I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna pick a customer, and I'm going to pick the service plan. Huh. Those guys have been messing with this thing, but they need to stop messing with it.
You got to tell your developers to stop developing, Bob. You know, I mean, that's their
well, you know,
take your word for it. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, that's very nice. Very nice. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, take my word for it. Yeah, okay. These guys have been messing with this stuff all day, and you know, I had a demo for Germany this morning, and they left it alone then, which is probably a good thing. But okay, so I'm trying to think if I could bring somebody up that wouldn't mind if I showed you their network, but I can't think of anybody that I really want.
Yeah.
I'm really slow to bring up a network that I've got running because there's a lot of proprietary data on these screens, and I really don't want to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to say
yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, I appreciate your understanding. I really, really, really shouldn't bring somebody's stuff up to show to you, even though I'd really like to. But okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we were going to trouble ticketing. So basically, you asked the question, what do we do on trouble ticketing? I can create a trouble ticket from here, or I can create a trouble ticket. You know, if I'm already in the customer's service plan stuff, I can create a trouble ticket directly from there as well. And so what that does is that creates a trouble ticket, sets the date and the time. You've already seen the creation of a work order, and essentially it's basically the same thing. You create a work order off the trouble ticket. When the work order is completed, the trouble ticket is cleared, and you can see it from there. I'm going to show you something else here real quick, and then we'll move on to that. Under the billing section, you can see all of the invoices that have been generated to date. If you want to print one of these invoices, just a specific invoice, you can click on there, and it'll print the invoice. It has the basic sort of stuff associated with that. You can also print statements for specific periods of time. So under the invoice, it's the same, you know, basically the same sort of stuff you get with most invoices. I have an account number, an invoice number, the due date, the date of creation, the different listed elements. Here at the bottom, with all of these footers, you can actually put different kinds of footers on there. So in this case, I've got a login, and I've got a username and a password. So if somebody wanted to get in and add that to the bottom of their invoices or their statements, they can do that. So
before you go ahead here, where would the overage billing be on that invoice?
It would be listed. Here, let me print it. It would be listed as a line item.
And it's automatically appended in there on the date of the creation, or
yes. So for example, on the date that it's created. So for example, if we're 2/3 of the way through the billing period and it's from the 1st to the 31st, then it will show that the item was added on 220 or whatever the case might be. It'll say what it is and how much what it was and what the total price on it is. It will in fact add it just as a line item to the invoice.
Okay.
And then if they keep exceeding, they will get additional line items for every time they keep exceeding the next level up. Let me show you where those are listed. I'm kind of bouncing around here, and I'm sorry about that, guys. But if I go to billing and I go to billing plans, let's just look at one of these. Okay, so I went to billing over here on the left-hand side. I went to billing plans. We have 3 different kinds of plans. You can make an internet plan. You can make an other recurring plan like equipment leases and those types of things, or non-recurring plans like one-time installations or some sort of not one-time service charge, those types of things. You can add those here. But under internet plans, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick one here. And this is all of the plans, and I'm going to click on one of these for a second. But you can see that this is the name of the plan, and this is what drops down for the customer service representative. This is the description of the plan, and this is what actually gets attached to the invoice or the statement. And then you can see the price of the plan. You can see the period, and these are all in months. So I've got a quarterly plan. Oops, I got a quarterly plan right there. And then I have contract agreements as well. So if you're managing contract agreements, then this will show you what the contract level agreement is for the length and duration on that customer or on those customers. And then last but not least, I have speed and also usage-based billing. So under the speed, I have uplink and downlink, and you can see what the speed limits are. And then on the usage-based billing, you can see what, this is 38 gig or 35 gig or whatever it might be. And and then last but not least, I also have type of service plan. I've got business. I differentiate between business and residential because we have to file the FCC 477 twice a year. And the business versus residential is important on that FCC 477 file. It takes about 15 minutes to file your FCC 477 stuff.
And I see that that's called usage limits in gigabyte. Let's say, for instance, the user, like that second plan down the list here, the business basic service, let's say the user goes over their 76 gigs. Or, okay. Well, let's say they go over their 76 gigs. How does that, I guess there's all kinds of things that you can do here.
So, yes, so here's the usage-based billing here, okay? So once you got a couple of options. You can make it uplink and downlink limited, or you can make it aggregate limited. In this case, It looks like we got an 80 gig downlink and like a 40 gig uplink. And then for every additional, so when they either exceed this or they exceed this, then for every additional 10 gig, they're going to get charged $10 more. Now you can make these changes, these number changes, any way you want to. You can make that $19.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, and then since we're on the business plan here, this is a business plan. It's the business basic level 3. This is the business description. This is a business plan. It's active. I could also have a hotspot, so we can actually serve. Well, we can handle having you serve a page off, say, for example, like a Microtik, a hotspot page off of Microtik, where you're doing billing by the hour, by the day, by the week, by the month, whatever the case might be. And then this is the rate. This is the billing period. This is a 12-month agreement with a $275 termination fee. It maintains and manages that. If the guy cancels before that time period, they'll actually charge that. If you want to put that on prorate, you can actually prorate it. If he's halfway through, then he pays half the charge. We have a very strong tax engine. And so if you want to collect taxes based on city, county, state, and you've got 30 different cities and 5 different counties and so forth, we can collect all that.
We fortunately don't have any of that. We have one state tax, that's it.
And so another question I have since we're here and I don't see it is, let's say we want to set this plan up to where if the customer is 30 days over, we want to slap them with a percentage fee or a late fee or something.
Okay, so we're going to jump over here to admin. I think it's over admin. No, it's probably under billing. It's under billing settings. Okay, so under billing settings, I have 4 different tabs across the top. So the first one is just contact information from us to you, so we make sure that we know how to get a hold of you, and vice versa. Under the billing stuff, what we have here is we have several different merchants, but we strongly recommend IP Pay because that makes us PCI DSS compliant. We do everything tokenized with those guys. They get really good rates. Their service coverage is excellent. I mean, they really provide strong support. Okay.
So, Bob, IP Pay is the one that if we use them, there's a discount per customer subscription, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely right. And there's no reason not to use those guys. You know,
what's their effective rate on average? You know?
I don't know. I'm not going to give you. I'm not going to tell you because I don't know the answer to that question. Okay. I'm sure it varies based on you, and I don't know what it varies on. I do know that the Visa, MasterCard, all those guys make a lot of money, and I went in absolutely the wrong business. I should have been processing credit cards. Oh my God!
Yeah, but think of the size database
they got easier. Oh, and you know when they started doing credit cards, there was a guy that took out. He decided, well, you know what these credit cards need? They need an insurance plan. So if somebody doesn't pay their insurance or doesn't pay the cards, and the insurance covers the cost of whatever the guy's charged on the card. That guy made more money, oh my Lord, because he charged exorbitant rates. He hired, you know, a couple of statisticians to figure out what the chances are of going bankrupt, and he charged, you know, 5 times what it's. Oh my Lord, it was amazing. You know, I feel sorry for that guy. He got his yacht stuck on a sandbar in the Everglades, and the Everglades. Sandbar, and I feel really bad for him.
Oh, me too.
Too bad. Okay, I'm sorry, I digress. Okay, so here's the merchant account, IP Pay. Obviously, you put your numbers and stuff in here that they give you for that. Credit card expiration notification, 5 days before a credit card is expired. We actually get an expiration on that, so they'll get a notification that their card is about to expire. With IP Pay, you can also turn off the filtering for credit card expiration. So if you don't want an expired credit card not to process, they can actually turn off expiration and it'll still process. So you don't have to have it on actually if you don't want to.
Whoa.
Okay, now we're making some changes on the usage-based billing. We've got a company in Australia where we have to notify on 50%, 75%, and 100%. So right now on usage-based billing, we're only sending out a notification at 75%, but that's actually, you can make this anything you want. You can make it 80% or whatever the case might be. But we're going to be making 3 different levels so you can give out 3 different notifications if you want to. Don't worry about the usage-based billing cycle start stuff. We also have a customer referral plan. So if you refer once, you get $1 or $20 or whatever the case might be, or you can make it a recurring plan. So if that customer invites another customer on, they get $1.50 every month for as long as that customer stays a customer. You can also make it a flat rate or percentage on the referral. And then I'm not going to worry about this. If you have accounting codes, then we can track your accounting codes. So for every cash, check, credit card, ACH type transactions based on service plan type, whether they're recurring, non-recurring, or internet-based, then you can collect data so that at the end of the day, you can see how much money you collected in each of these different accounting codes.
Yeah. Okay.
That's okay. Good. Under fees. Now, fees really came into being when the FCC passed their net neutrality stuff. A bunch of our customers wanted net neutrality fees, and so what we did was we created a couple of basic standard fees, invoice fees, check processing fees. They're allowed to charge credit card processing fees in certain countries, but we're not one of those. And so you got to be careful charging something called a credit card processing fee. But we also have late fees. So here's a flat rate, or you can make it a percentage of the principal amount. If you make it a percentage of the principal amount, you got to be careful not to exceed the annual interest that you're allowed to charge on a customer, because the states view that as an interest payment. And so what I normally do is recommend just make a flat fee and make it. You're not going to make a lot of money on late fees. All you're trying to do is remind them that they owe you money. And then USF fees, yeah. So we can pick up USF fees as well if you're doing VoIP type applications. We can identify what the USF fees are. You don't have to report USF fees to the government until you've exceeded $2,500 a month. Okay, so and this is where this is the suspension stuff that you were talking about. So We break this into two pieces, residential plans and business plans. In this particular instance, I'm going to let the customer go 10 days before I redirect them. I'm going to charge them $4.95 for a redirect fee, and then 7 days after they're late, I'm going to let them know that in 3 days, they're going to be redirected to the customer portal if they don't make a payment. I also have the option, if you want to, you can continue to charge the suspended plan, or you can turn that off where you're not charging a suspended plan, but I'd recommend that you just leave it on. The equipment's still on their roof. They're still using your service. Just because you go on vacation doesn't mean you don't pay the electric bill or the phone bill or the cable bill. We also have an auto enable on the closure. So if they go more than 60 days, I mean, they've already been shut off for 50. If you want to, you can create an automatic closure on the plan. And then 5 days before the plan closes, it'll notify the customer that that service plan is about to close. Then it'll give you the option to go out and set up a work order to go get the equipment off the roof and those types of things. We break this out between residential plans and business plans. So if you want to treat your business customers differently than you do your residential customers, this is where you make those determinations.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead. Bob, just based on one thing you just mentioned, one thing we do a lot actually here is we give our customers who are snowbirds, they live part-time in Florida, the option of suspending their accounts for a reduced fee for $10 a month.
Okay.
Is that something that could happen automatically, like we could check a checkbox?
Yes, and I'm about to show you. So let's say this customer, Jim Bean, calls in and says, hey, I'm going to be gone to Florida for a few months. Would you mind if I put my service not on suspension, but on hold? So what you do is you go to the plans, you pick the service that he's currently going to put on hold, and then you get these lists of icons underneath these service plans. This one's a suspension plan. Okay, suspension's going to charge the guy some money. It's going to shut off the service immediately and all those types of things. This is a hold button right here. So what's the difference between suspension and hold? Well, what hold does, hold looks at where we are in the billing period and says the guy is not going to be using the service between this point and some other point. Now we can put a $10 fee on there if you want to every month and make it do that. But if you would rather, what this does is it figures out how much time there is remaining in the billing period, and it credits the account for that much money. And then when the guy comes back and presses unhold, it actually figures out what is the next charge date, and it does the calculation. So this hold basically shuts down the service and stops all billing, and it's very equitable. If you also want to make it so that it also charges a $10 fee, we got ways to do that instead. What you would do is you would just go in here and you would switch this plan from a residential basic service, you'd switch it over to a hold plan, and it would switch it from $10 or whatever you're paying now to $10 a month. When you switch it, it could also fire a script that would shut down the service.
Okay.
Okay, if the guy calls in and wants to switch his service, I can pick the service and I can hit the little change plan, and it'll give me the option to change the plan from something to something else. If I want to close a plan, I can close it here. If I want to see all the plan notes or look at the images, I can look there. This is all the change log information, so you can see where they've been or where they're going. And then if there's any additional notes on the service plan created either by the customer or created by you or created by the program, those will be listed here as well.
Let's say I wanted to access that CPE directly right now. Is there a quick and easy way just to hop on into that guy?
Yeah, that's one of my.
Golly, that is on our update list. We didn't realize how valuable a function that would be, but almost everybody I talk to says, okay, so I need a little button right there that will just launch the function, and I can go straight to the customers, do the login on the device or on the whatever device I want to get into. And the answer is that is on our development list. It is absolutely coming. Yes.
So coming meaning that we'll get it and then we have to upgrade to some other service, or
no.
It'll just happen. We'll log in one day and it'll be there.
Well, what we'll do is I'll send you a message that says that I need you to clear your cache and reload the browser, and it'll automatically appear. Right.
I like automatic.
Well, yeah, I kind of like automatic too, but you are going to have to clear the cache, otherwise, you know.
Fair enough.
Otherwise,
The other thing that wasn't clear to me, Bob, is when you're in there, I think because you got a little bit thwarted trying to do a work order, but if I'm in there doing a work order for a customer, am I looking as well at their historic work orders at the same time?
Yes, actually, yes. You can look at all of the trouble tickets for that particular customer, and so you can see all of those tickets. So let me look and see if I can see any of the tickets. Well, I don't really have a ticket list.
Yeah.
There's some notes history, but I don't have a ticket list.
But actually, when I'm going in to do a work order, so the customer calls, you know, Jethro calls and says, got a problem. I go to do a work order. As soon as I start a work order for him, am I going to see the past tickets? You know, especially the last one that says, hey, whenever this guy calls, you know, ignore him. He's a troublemaker or whatever.
You will see those here. So here's a contact page. Okay, so if you have some sort of message that you need to leave for all of your customer service representatives,
right,
you can actually leave that message. This guy is don't answer his questions, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, right? And then you can create that. I don't know if I showed this to you already, but you can create that, and then you can open it up, and then you can set it to.
All right. So this was coming and going. I power cycled up, the switch came back.
Set it on. Okay.
Now it's still not.
So that point going forward, you'll see that. Okay. If you want to look at trouble tickets prior to creating a work order, you absolutely can.
That could be a problem out there. I don't know.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, because that's very useful, right? You can see a history of what's happened.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to redirect you for a minute here and talk about inventory.
Okay.
So we assigned a radio to this customer. Do you have any kind of purchase order module, or do you plan on a purchase order module? Is there a way to hook into existing purchase order modules like QuickBooks Online, which we use now, or? You know,
okay.
What I'd like to know is, how do I track a piece of inventory from purchase to disbursement?
On our next release, which will be coming soon, this is the other item that a whole bunch of people have been requesting, is to be able to create purchase orders directly from this application. Because otherwise, how do you know? I mean, otherwise you're doing double data entry, right?
That's right.
Because you got to put it in QuickBooks and then you got to put it here. Well, that doesn't help. So what we're doing is, along with the button that redirects over to the customer stuff, we're also putting in a purchase order module. You know, the functionality of that with regards to talking to QuickBooks, I do not know that functionality at this point.
Well, it doesn't have to talk to QuickBooks. If you have your own purchase order module, we'll do the purchasing in your software. We just need to do it one place or the other and not both.
Not both, yes. And then you can run reports and you can see how much money and so forth you spent, and all of those reporting capabilities are available.
Yeah. We can receive items. If we want to be able to scan them in with a scanner, and then see that item flow through to a truck and see that item flow from the truck to the customer site. The other thing about us that's important for us is the status of that piece of inventory. In some cases, that piece of inventory will be sold to the customer because it's a router or a Unify, something like that. But in other cases, if it's a radio on their roof, we actually retain ownership of that and we add it to our fixed assets.
Okay, yeah, that's not an issue. Hang on just a second. Okay. All right. So yes, the answer directly to your question is with regards to the inventory, you can absolutely keep track of where it went, an entire history of where it's been. It went to this guy's house, it went to that guy's house, it went in the warehouse, it went on the truck. It finally got sent back for an RMA. So we maintain a complete history of where it has been and where it's been. and that includes sending it back for an RMA. And so we actually have a little device where you can send it back for an RMA. It'll actually give you a tracking number, and then you can track it coming back and forth between the vendor. So when we put inventory in, obviously when we put inventory in, it's kind of a three-step part, right? First of all, you have to know the vendor. So these are all different kinds of vendors that we currently have in here: name, contact, phone number, fax, email, RMA, email, shipping address, all that kind of information. So when it actually produces the RMA sheet that you're going to attach to the box, it's got a list in it. Okay, and then the next item is adding UPC codes. So if you're starting with a new vendor, or you've got, say for example, some sort of new piece of equipment that you've never had before, you need to give it a name and a description and put in the UPC code associated with that. So then when you finally get some of these things and start adding them to inventory, you can just type in there and it'll start, it'll actually fill in the items that you're looking for, and then you can add the pieces one at a time.
Can you scan those codes in, Bob?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Well, let me ask you this: let's say that they came in and we just scan. Let's say the MAC addresses are on the side of the boxes when they come in for the Ubiquity radios. Yep. We get a box of 5 CPEs. Is there a quick and easy way where we can just say we got 10 of these and scan in 10 of them and drop in 10 MAC addresses into inventory?
Yes, and so what you would do is, in this case, let's say we got 10 of these rocking M2s, right? So you identify the vendor that they came in from, and hopefully you'll be able to identify at some point you'll be able to identify the purchase order that they came in on, and then you can just scan the serial number, scan the MAC, and if you have 10 of them to come in, then what you do is you just tell them where you're going to put it. I'm going to put it in these different locations. All right, here, let's just put it.
Does it automatically comma separate? I'm just imagining I'm standing here with a USB barcode reader going boop, 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 boop. Is it just going to slam all those together with no delineation in the MAC address field?
No. Well, you're not going to do it that way. You're not going to get that. We're not that good yet. What you're going to do is you're going to put it in warehouse, okay, and then you're going to scan the first one. It's going to fill in the rest of the information. So give me just a second. So the odds are you probably have all of this data that's probably all the same for all those devices. So now I've got this. I can now go ahead and scan the serial number and scan the MAC and then hit save. Scan the serial number, hit the MAC, and hit save. Scan the serial number, scan the MAC, hit save. And so you can put them in very quickly, but you do have to do some preliminary before you start punching the barcode reader.
Okay. All right.
Okay, let's look at something over here. I want to show you a little bit of network stuff, and I want to look at, I'm just going to manage some devices. So let's just look at, so I'm just going to look at some routers here. Give me a second here. Okay, and I'm just going to pick this one. We actually have some of the monitoring going on in this particular router. Because the router is actually set up at my office. And so, well, in this case, it's because it's the house. But what you can see here on the router is we've got the name, location, the device type, the device itself. This is a core router. I've got a management IP address. You can see if I have any IP block assignments that I can make, anything that goes out to a customer will be listed here as a block range. And then under this, I've got usernames and passwords so I can get in and out of the router. Either by hand or remotely. I'm monitoring the device, and then I've got a whole bunch of additional information. These are the different OIDs that I'm using to gather information off of this particular device. As you can tell, there's a place over here. Well, I thought there was something. I'll have to find it. But you can add, right here, manage OIDs. And so you can add OIDs to your monitoring process. So you can monitor any device in the network, and you can monitor any customer on any OID that they might have as well. So, and also, if you want to configure ports, you can configure ports for the 5 different ports. If you want to tell me that it's attached to AP5 or AP7, you can show which particular device it's attached to and how the configuration is set up. And then if you want to look at change logs. But over here on the right-hand side, I'm just looking at, I think it's total throughput. Yeah, it's total throughput on Ether 1. And I can look at that on an hourly graph, an annual graph, a daily graph, and so forth, and as you can see. So if there's an OID associated with the device, we actually can monitor it, manage it, and keep track of it at this location.
Is that the only way you monitor it, is with SNMP?
Yes.
Okay. Well, and how are you getting into our network, Bob? Are you coming in on a VPN, or what are we doing for access?
Yes, sir. Probably coming in on a VPN on an edge core router or something, so that anything that has the ability to see the rest of the network is where we probably want to come into.
Mm-hmm.
Are you dual homed?
Yeah. We are multi-homed on one piece of our network. There's another side of our network that has two separate homings, I guess you would say. So we have four drains, but I've got tunnels between all of them to where if you come into one, you'll see all of it.
Okay. Yeah, that's easy then. Yeah. No problem.
And do you provide OIDs for a lot of equipment? I mean, one thing I've noticed about, we do a lot of just ping monitoring of devices, but the SNMP can be difficult with Ubiquity devices, because the firmware changes the OIDs, for every device.
Yeah, I heard that this morning, and it kind of blew my mind. I'm going, really?
Yeah.
Why am I? And we thought it was just appending the MAC to the end, but it's not. It's doing something completely different, isn't
it? Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. Why in the world would they do something stupid like that? I mean, we can certainly set them up the first time, but the problem becomes an issue if you move that device from one access point to another. Then apparently it changes the OID sets, which just doesn't make any bloody sense. But, maybe we'll drop a note to UBNT and let them know that that's not really a clever way to design things.
Do you also monitor by IP address, just like is the IP up or not? I mean, is that something you do?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay. I mean, that would be the simple way to tell if the equipment was online or not, would be to ping it.
Well, that's true. Yes. Absolutely, we would be able to do that. But for our alert notifications, it is just simple ping, and we've got some algorithms on ping states that if we ping it 6 times and we get full response, then it's up. If we get 3 responses, and then we.
Another thing I want to be clear of is your software here runs, we'll say in a virtual machine instance or however you manage your infrastructure. And we just have an instance within that. That's right. It's not like hosted in our network.
Well, okay. We have a couple options here. A lot of people don't want somebody else to maintain their servers, and that's fine. If you want, we can tell you what you need. You need 4 gig of RAM, and you need, a couple of cores, and probably 150 gig of memory. But if you want to run this on your own servers, that's certainly fine. We'd be glad to just create an image for you and hand it to you. If you want us to do it, that's fine too. We're very happy to do that. These are just VM sort of servers, and then we could just take a ghost image and send it to you and let you operate yourself. So, and at any point in the future, if you want to do that, that's not an issue. We'll just make an image and send it to you.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. And are these like Hyper-V images, or are they VMware images? What are we talking about here?
They're VMware images.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's easy enough. And it wasn't quite apparent, but do you currently have or will have in the near future IPv6 IP address tracking?
Well, it depends on what you want to do with it. We're certainly capable of recording it. And we're certainly capable of showing it. But, IPv6 is so huge that we're going to have to find some way to limit it. Because, if you just look at the sheer numbers and so forth, we're certainly quite capable of keeping IPv6 routing blocks. But they're very big.
Right. And so we've been using a package so far called IPAM. and they have a really clever little IPv6 calculator where you can like carve out prefixes and whatnot, you know, and push to your customers. We've not started using it in a huge way yet, but you know, we do have more customers that I force it upon all the time.
Right. Well, and here's the issue with that, is we have not really started to employ it. And so realistically, you know, we've got all of the pieces in place to do it, and it should be operational, but I don't have anybody that's got IPv6 blocks that I can actually test it on. And so...
Well, we do.
Well, that may be a good thing and may not. Yeah. But we would, you know, the answer to your question directly is yes. We can display and we can record and we can track IPv6 ranges.
Fair enough. Okay. And then that, did you have anything?
Customer code.
Yeah, the customer portal.
Yes, that's actually why I think you called.
That's right.
Let me see if I can find it. Hang on a second. Okay, so let me see if I can write down to you. Now, this is a very vanilla portal, and it doesn't have to be vanilla. I can give you all of the command structure for it and all of the variables that we're collecting. And if you want to do something clever and make it look really beautiful, you're welcome to do that for all of your navigation and stuff on it. I'm looking for a username and password. Give me just a second.
And while you're looking for that, to jump around a little bit, that VMware image, are these running on top of Windows servers? Are they Linux servers? What is the foundation of this application?
Currently, we're on Windows 12, but we are also in the process of moving to a Linux server.
Okay, I was just curious if it was like an ASP application or what was under the hood.
Oh, this is on AngularJS. It's a JavaScript application. Okay. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so let's see if I got everything written down right. So what the customer would do is, what we do is we give you a launch, you know, just a pad to send to this particular location. This is written in HTML5, and so again, it's very similar sorts of stuff. This is service address. This is billing address. If they want to edit any of those accounts, all they have to do is click on the button, and it opens up and permits them to edit those. This guy is currently paying with check cash, but if you wanted to change the process by which they're paying, then you can click on that, and not now, thank you. And you can switch it to credit card, for example. The guy could come in and he can make changes so that he is now paying on credit card. If you want to make a one-time payment, you can also do that in the same location. Here's a one-time payment capability. So what this does is it fills in with as much information as it has, and then it permits the customer to make a one-time payment. What that does is it makes a one-time payment, but it does not record, well, actually, IPPay retains the tokenization, and we actually retain the first 4 and the last 4 on all of these transactions, but it will not make that a recurring billing process for them on that credit card. And so, okay, so what do we have? We have service address, billing address, payment method. Here's the current balance, one-time credit card payments, invoice statements. If you want to print an invoice or statements, you can come in and you can print billing statements or invoice statements. Taking back. Okay, thank you. And then down here below, it talks about the service plan. And so this guy has got a service plan, and you can see that it is. Oh, that's interesting. The plan is active. And return to summary. Where did I go? How did I get down there? Oh, and so this actually is a different sort of thing. You can actually see on this particular one, this is a usage-based billing, and you can see here are the speed limits, and then here is the limit aggregate up and down, and you can see what percentage of the usage limit has actually occurred. So the customer is able to look at, maintain, monitor their own types of usage-based billing information.
So I assume that all this code here, you just kind of like slapped it in one page, and we could lay it out across different.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, if you guys got some clever web developer or just somebody that's got 4 hours of time, they could put all of your navigation on this, and we'll just give you the parameters that you need to transfer back to us. Very simple. A lot of our customers do that. A lot of our customers don't do that.
Well, Bob, where is that customer login information set up? Is that somewhere in the customer record, or is that a separate thing?
Sure. So, for example, if I go back to customer share for a second, that customer login is actually located right on the front page, down underneath here. So, let me bring that up. Hang on a second. Okay, so that customer information is listed right here. So it's under customer portal. Okay. So when the customer calls in and says, I can't get onto the portal, you can immediately see what the customer portal username and password are.
Okay. And can I see that usage graph? Like that I've seen a link for it under the portal. Would it be possible for you to click on that?
I might, yes. I have no idea what we're going to see, but we'll have a look. You mean for this customer? No, this is not the same. Yeah, this is a real customer with using real services. This is a development application using non-real services, and so I really don't actually.
The one that's the real customer for these folks. That's what I want to see.
Let me see if I've got it.
Under the metered plan, there, you clicked on that.
Did it actually give us a play? Oh yeah, here's usage graphs. All right. You got good eyes.
Because really, to us, having this visibility and access for our customers is.
All right, so here are the usages. This is total throughput. That's interesting. Total throughput is blue. The total download is orange, and total upload is green, blue, and orange. And then here you can see the usages for the customer based on those periods.
Oh, and it shows their usage per day as well.
Yes.
All right.
That was a big day, wasn't it? What was that? Saturday.
Yeah, some Netflixing going on. All right.
Streamed every college basketball game that day.
Yeah, 10 hours.
Yes, he did. So did I.
Perfect. All right.
Okay, so that's what the customer sees. Again, we can provide this data to you in some sort of format if you want to change the formatting.
Okay. What's the database you're using at the back end, Bob? I don't think we have.
That would be MySQL.
Okay, MySQL. Not Microsoft SQL, but MySQL.
I'm sorry. Yes, MySQL. Right.
Yeah. Perfect. Awesome. Makes us happy.
So as far as getting the data over to you for our usage billing, it doesn't sound like that's going to be much of a problem. Don't you have some place where you can do custom SQL gets or something? Or I thought in one of the demos.
You got to be careful with gets. Actually, there's 4 of those, gets and pushes, and you got to be careful which one you pick because sometimes those things appear to be. Look. I'm not a programmer. I used to be, but I'm not anymore. And I'll just let the geniuses that do that figure that stuff out. But yes, we should be able to extract that data.
Okay, perfect. And could you click on one of these invoices, one of these paid invoices here, since this is, the real deal here? I want to see what one of those look like.
Sure.
All right. And this particular plan is no usage billing, but what does he say? All plans include a free data period daily, midnight through. We do this as well, but let's see. But I guess the customer just didn't go over in this period. Okay. Perfect.
Right. It didn't go over. Right. But, and it's funny. We create invoices even though they got a zero balance. If you've got an electric service or you got a phone service, and if you got a zero balance or you got a credit, you always get an invoice, right?
Right.
I mean, the invoice always comes. We were sending out zero-based or $0 invoices, and this guy's customers were going ballistic. Why am I getting an invoice? Really?
Yeah, didn't like it.
And you know, it's so funny, but every guy that runs a Wisp does it differently. And so this guy really didn't want any zero-based invoices going out, and we're still scratching our heads. But that's all right. That's cool. That's what he wants to do. The good news is that we were able to turn it off so that it didn't send it $0 invoices.
Fair enough.
Speaking of,
and you guys also employ or can employ on our behalf a third party to stuff and mail invoice. Not that we have all that many mailed invoices. 99% of them, or probably 90% of them, are emailed. But I'm just curious if I thought I seen that.
We do that with one of our customers. Absolutely, we do that with one of our customers.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's necessary. I was just curious.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, in the modern day of internet, that's why you get internet, is so you can get your invoice.
That's right, so you can get all your bills.
Yeah, well, you know, some businesses will really like to have those invoices showing up, and so that they've got a paper invoice, a paper trail, so that they can track it down. But we certainly can give you the option, and if you've got a third party, then we'd be glad to push it to them as well.
Bob, how many customers do y'all have? How many people have you sold this product to?
That is information my competitors would love to have, but I'll tell you that we provide service in Germany, Uganda, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Honduras, Australia, and the United States and Canada.
Fair enough. And with that information, I mean, are you guys aggregating 500,000 subscribers or 1 million? I mean,
more than that.
You know,
yeah, more than that.
Perfect. Yeah, we just want to make sure that you guys are going to be around for us. So.
Oh my God, yes.
And you know,
well,
I wonder also
that's a very good question. And we were approached last year, and then again last December, to be purchased by one of our competitors.
Oh yeah.
And so they were interested in our new product development line, and they actually what they really wanted was me and Cameron and our development staff, but we couldn't come to an agreed upon price. We were a little richer than they could afford. But they actually come to us twice. Two Decembers in a row they came to us looking to buy us. So.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have ever sold companies, but you know, normally it takes about 3 or 4 or 5 times before you can get a company sold.
Yeah, we've got a little experience with buying and selling companies here.
Yeah, and we're not really interested in selling because, I mean, you know, this is what we've been doing for 6 years, and we really enjoy it. So we're not really interested in selling.
We're interested in selling to Google for $1 billion, but we haven't had an offer yet.
I think, guys, that we're in the wrong industry for being able to recover those kinds of money. Yeah.
Bob, do you have a couple of references, people that you like to have other people talk to, or who are willing to talk to other people, and maybe between the 2,000 and 5,000 customer range that you could email to me and let me chat with?
Absolutely. And who was that speaking? Was that JJ? No.
No, that was Art. That was Art.
Okay. I'm taking some notes. Hang on. Okay. Let me see. Let me just have a quick look at this trifold and see if there's anything else on here. Billing, CRM. You guys don't care, but we provide multilingual, multi-currency, integrated customer portal, integrated self-service qualification. So as part of the software that we provide you, there's a piece that you can put on your website so people can actually get on there and they can put in their first name, last name, address, city, state, zip, phone number, email address, and they can qualify themselves. And if we get a line of sight that has no interruptions in the red line, the line of sight graph, then we tell them that, yes, we can provide service. If it does interrupt us on that line anywhere, then we tell them maybe we can provide service. But in every instance, it creates a sales contact, adds it to your sales contact list, It also sends an email to you, whoever you want to be on the distribution for that email. And you can click on the email. It has the link in it, and it'll bring up all of the line of sight graphs so that you don't have to rerun them. And then you can have a quick look. So, you know, within 10 seconds of the time they hit the qualification button, you've already got all their information.
Okay.
So what does it look like if we say, okay, your software looks great and we want to move forward with it? What's that procedure look like?
Okay. It comes in several pieces. The first one is that we have to collect all of your technical data first. Okay, and so I need to know a whole bunch of information about your network, what kind of equipment you have, where it's located, where your towers are located, what the elevation and the direction of the and the make and model of your access points. I need to know a lot of information about your routers, because what we tried to do in the past is we tried to do all this integrated at one time, and that just didn't work. Because what would happen is everybody was in a big hurry to get their billing stuff done, and then the technical stuff was always left, you know, well, we got the billing done, what else we need? And so we do it in two pieces. We collect the technical data first, and I give you some spreadsheet, or we can just, you know, we can sit on the phone and you can tell me what the answers are. And then the other part is that, no, I really don't want to do it that way either, not with as big a network as you have. And then the other option is, then the other piece is I collect customer data. Well, on the customer data, as you probably can imagine, I need to know what kind of equipment they have, what the MAC address of that device is, and if you have it, I need to know what the IP address of that device is. And it depends on how you're doing authentication, whether or not I need the MAC or the IP address. But since you probably have both, I probably need both. In addition, I need to know the whole gamut of what your service plans look like, and then we need to talk about the integration process with your usage-based billing server. Then we roll all that up, and then the last thing I do actually is I collect customer data from you over a weekend, and so that way the customer doesn't, you know, customer data ages, right? If the customer data is a day old, then it's probably outdated already, because changes have been made, people have canceled, new people have been put on, and so the process of putting the customers on rapidly is very important. So that's why all that other stuff has to be in place.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah.
So awesome.
All right. Well, it looks like you've done it before. So that's
resorting about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done it before.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, we'll go ahead and send the references on. We're going to talk to a couple other folks here. We're hot on the trail of this, though, so this is something we're going to make a decision about very soon, within the next couple of weeks, I think. Yep.
Excellent. Let me show you one other thing.
Okay.
Nobody else will probably show this to you, but our pricing is on our website.
Right. We saw that.
You didn't even ask about pricing, so I shouldn't even be showing you.
That's because we saw it on the website.
Oh, you already saw it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's why we're talking to you. You told us, so we decided to call.
Okay, very good.
So just so I understand here, that's like we're currently doing our merchant services by way of
QuickBooks Online.
Yeah, and with that being said, you know, IPPay, that name keeps coming up, so that's probably who we're going to engage, you know, in this process. So that'll also be part of the integration process. So I assume for us, we're looking at that 75 cents a sub.
Yes, probably.
Probably.
Yeah. Are you over 3,000 subscribers? You guys that big?
Yeah, we're about 3,500. Yeah.
Oh my God, you guys are huge. How long have you been in business?
Since '99.
All right. Hey, I'm really impressed. That's very good. I have a company that started 3 years ago with 0 customers, and they're just about the same size. Actually, they've got about 5,000 now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
They're working harder than we are.
Yeah. Actually, I think the guy that owns it's probably working easier than you are. You probably know him, but I'm not going to mention his name. But he's a pretty remarkable guy.
Very nice.
Yeah, you probably know who he is. So,
all right, and so other than the $75 a month and per sub and the $249 integration fee. I'm sorry, $75. $75 per sub. Wow, it's going to be expensive. Yeah, 75 cents.
It's going to be a killer.
Are there any other hidden expenses we should look forward to? You know, if we're going to try to integrate our traffic and that becomes a pain, do you start charging hourly?
Well, you know,
programming fees,
I'm happy to give you a day or so of engineering time, and if it takes any more than that, then we're going to have to discuss it because, you know, we've since I've been on the phone, I've had 2 more requests for demos, and that's outstanding. But we're starting to run short on resources. But the answer is I don't think it'll take more than a day to do the integration.
It doesn't sound like it.
About.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty simple, but I'm not the one that makes that decision. That would be the lead technical guy, Cameron Crum, and he would make the decision on that. But for the most part, we don't have any other hidden fees. I mean, there's nothing else that would be hiding.
Yeah. All right.
And even at that would be relatively inexpensive.
Okay. Perfect.
All right. I am on my phone. My phone number is 817-829-7214. You guys already know my number because you called me earlier this morning, I think. But you are welcome to call me basically anytime.
I pulled that out of an email from 2010 when I spoke with you.
Okay. All right. Call me. If it's a Saturday and you got questions, give me a call. I'm happy to answer the phone. There should never be a time when you make a phone call that I don't pick it up, because I'll even interrupt the demo to pick up a phone call from a customer. So.
All right. Perfect. Thanks very much.
Good enough, guys.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you later. Thanks, Alan.
Bye.
Bye.